Yeah, so it's like I'm gonna give you a big smack across your face or something, you know. So wearing this military shirt because I'm going to talk about Father and Saturn and those archetypes a little bit, and kind of introduce these sorts of themes to you if you're not familiar already. But I kind of think about sometimes that sort of like authority can be kind of more like a sergeant or something like that. I don't know what this is, but it is a military shirt. Hell on wheels, love that. So again, it's me bringing in the fashion with the astrology. So, hey, what can I say? Um, I'm recording this over the time of it's going to be Father's Day coming up, and so I thought it'd be a good thing to kind of talk about uh, the father and Saturn archetypes. Wisdom and a great teacher, stuff like that. So, and also when I'm talking about father and Saturn and authority, I mean, generally it's like a masculine energy, but when we're talking about these sorts of things, that energy is an energy. It doesn't it's this doesn't really have a gender like a physical gender. So moms can have father energy and any sort of authority, or maybe you've got like a father figure. It doesn't have to be a father, or it doesn't have to be a male. So I just want to kind of get that straight. I'm not just talking about men as dads. So just so you know, it's more wide open than that spectrum. So yeah, yeah, I've got my own experience with my dad, and you have your own experience with yours, or not. I fully know that some people don't grow up with a dad. I mean, we all have a dad, but we don't. Not everyone grows up with them. So I'm very grateful for my father. I love him very much, and has taught me a lot. And we have a good relationship. So I'm really happy about that. So that's just my experience. You have a different experience. I want to talk about these energies just in general. And so one of the major themes of like father and Saturn is for example, the act of teaching. Teaching a kid something. And fathers are more fathers probably, when we're growing up and we're kids. If you have a father or a father figure, or a mom that teaches you something in this sort of way or something like that, or any sort of maybe like adult, okay, someone that's older, wiser, that has the experience, and is teaching you something. They're in the present moment with you. They've got patience. They are clearly communicating, being very direct. They're sharing knowledge from their past and what they know, and they're like transferring this knowledge to you. There's teaching moments. They're leading by example, right? They're talking about the right way and the wrong way to do something, and they're also giving encouragement. Hopefully, uh, there's also negative aspects of that too. Maybe this figure could be really demanding and is not a good teacher, or is impatient, and gets angry and all of that. So then there's talking astrology, is Saturn embodies this very much so. And Saturn energy is mature and wise. Wherever Saturn is kind of in your chart has a lot to do with something that's going to evolve over time, or you have like major lessons that you have to learn in this aspect of your chart, over a span of, a lifetime. It talks about kind of like karma and consequences, stuff like that. Saturn, draws from the past. There's rules and responsibilities. That's what Saturn is about for sure. Lessons that I just talked about. There's setting structure. There's yes, no, black, white, right, wrong. Okay, and discipline. These are all actually, aspects of positive masculinity too, okay, which is important, I think, for men to kind of understand what those things are and do your Saturn by trying to live by those things. But I know it's different for everybody, but I just want to bring that up. There's a lot of, I mean, even if we were talking about Mars too, but like there's a lot of negativity things that come up, I think, a lot in this day and age when we talk about masculinity, and then it could be a very negative thing. But there's negatives and positives to everything, and there's negative and positive aspects to masculinity too, just as there is to femininity. Okay, and so I just wanted to bring that up too. It's important to, I think, as a man, me, to kind of look and read about what positive masculinity means and what that means to me personally. And it helps me form, better values for myself and my way of life and how I treat other people and stuff like that. So it's good, you know. So this father aspect, generally in our consciousness, for many of us, is outside of us, and there's authority, and people tell us what to do. We have rules, and people, telling us all sorts of, giving us structure and stuff like that. Yes, that is true, because we live in a 3D world, and yes, our consciousness does perceive things like that. But you can go a step further depending on how things are with your, scope of the world, which is something that I'm kind of like teaching in a way. But is that this Saturn energy, this father energy, is also within you. This is the Luke Skywalker King talk, Star Wars type stuff. Ultimately, okay, this is where the mysticism comes in. Okay, this power, this energy is within you. Okay, so we're talking now about fathering yourself, right? And not relying on an external authority to tell you what to do, right? And to be able to, as we grow up and mature, Saturn, that we father ourselves, right? It's just kind of a process of, whether we know it or not, that's what we're doing, okay? And so what astrology teaches more is like being more conscious of that, okay? Maybe you're having a really difficult time with this sort of thing, and so being conscious of it is really what is going to be helpful, okay? So yeah, we have our own authority. I know what's best for me, that sort of deal, right? You know what's best for you. And, instead of relying on some sort of outside authority or something to tell you what is right and wrong, it's like, this is what I feel to be right, and this is what I feel to be wrong. And so I'm living by these things, kind of that's what we're talking about here. So there's discipline, and having discipline for ourselves, is a good thing in some ways. And there's, having integrity, doing what we say we're going to do, that sort of thing. Showing up when we say we're going to show up, and just, doing the right thing, no matter who is there or not there. That sort of jazz is about that, right? Being responsible for ourselves, taking responsibility for ourselves, those are Saturn vibes. Setting boundaries, there's also, there's setting boundaries for, other people to, protect us, but there's there's setting boundaries for ourselves too. Maybe you notice that something is not healthy for you, but you do them, and so maybe I'm gonna set boundaries for myself, that sort of thing, perhaps. Okay, or maybe we need to reel in something, fathering ourselves. That's just basically what it comes down to. Okay, so there's also, when Saturn energy comes up, I definitely want to bring up the idea of right and wrong and guilt and shame. Okay, so this is where the dark side, Luke, I am your father, that sort of thing. So this is the stuff like, when there's rules and boundaries that are set by you or by somebody else, especially by yourself though, if there's like habits that you don't like doing or whatever, or you cross a boundary of doing something wrong or something like that, or you have a shortcoming of something, then there sets in guilt and the shame, and it hurts, and I'm not worth anything. It's just like can get you down real down. Okay, and this kind of works like with religion too, talking about like inner stuff. Okay, so we can get really down on ourselves. So kind of Saturn kind of introduces this thing now. So what we got, right and wrong now? Thanks, Saturn. And now, if I don't live up to this expectation that I set for myself, I'm going to get really down on myself, right? Shame. I do something that I didn't really want to do or something like that. Shame and guilt. So that's hard stuff to deal with. And the only way to really deal with that is love. Self-love. So it's very important to realize that fathers, this father energy, there is a general love there. Okay. And so, when you're teaching a kid to do something or whatever, there's some form of love there and that patience. So all of these things need to come back to you, and you need to use these energies for yourself. So there comes the unconditional love, and taking care of ourselves, and trying to do better, be more healthy, in our mind, body, and spirit, and stuff like that. So coming back to use those positive father archetypal energies to be a good human, right? So taking care of ourselves and fathering. I'm probably getting maybe a little bit further off the subject, but I want to talk about it. A happy Father's Day coming up, and this this video is good for any time. But I basically want to talk about that sort of Father Saturn archetype energy, and that we have that within us, and to know that and to use it, right, and have something to grow and live by is just that's a good thing. So thank you and peace. Take care.